Namaste. Welcome to the Hindu Parenting Podcast. In today's podcast, we talk about the most important thing on parents' minds education. Hindu parents are questioning what is mainstream education doing for us? Is it giving our children happiness along with success? Or is it just taking our children away from us, away from this beautiful civilization to a point of no return? There is a surge of interest today in Gurukula based education. For modern parents whose children are in mainstream schooling, this episode offers some insights about bringing Gurukula wisdom into modern homes. Can we give our children the depth of a Gurukula at home while they still go to a regular school? To explore this topic, we have someone who is actively working on a vision for the future of Bharatiya education. Joining us is Shri Muneet Dhiman, founder of Vidyakshetra, a Gurukulam that is reimagining education in Bharat and showing us how to take Gurukul education forward. Shri Muneet Dhiman is the founder and Kulapati of Vidyakshetra, a speaker in the World Hindu Congress 2023, and a TEDx speaker. He was in IT for 15 years as head of research and development service in Europe and has spent the last 15 years in Gurukula education. Munitji, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Rekha ji. It's always a pleasure to have an interaction with you and to be a part of what you are doing. It's phenomenal, especially parenting. I would say not only education, but parenting also is a very big question today in the society and especially in Bharat. And I'm very happy that I'm able to be a part of this session over here.
Thank you, Munitji. And I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. I'm so glad that we are finally doing a podcast together.
Yes.
To begin, what inspired you to start Vidyakshetra almost a decade ago? Did you feel that something was missing in modern education?
Uh, Actually, this I would have to go a little bit back in the journey to answer this question. 2006 is when I was in Germany and I read Bhagavad Gita. It really shook me in the sense that the questions that came to me after reading Bhagavad Gita, in search of the answers for those questions, uh, what came out was that I would like to reconsider the direction for my own life. And some more incidents happened where we visited an old age home, a five-star old age home in Germany and in Munich, and we saw people over there who were exceptionally good people, like performers when they were young, and in their 80s, ready to give extra money to have somebody talk to them. So those situations really shook us, and both Preeti and myself, we felt that, oh, we should have a little more meaning to our life. And after contemplation, it actually came forward that education is the area where we would like to uh, spend remaining part of our life. Though in Germany, it was still not clear to us whether it is Bharatiya Siksha, Gurukula Siksha. It was education. And since I was very close to the Mindtree management, they proposed to me, don't quit Mindtree. You come back and you be a part of the training, the learning department of Mindtree. And that is what I did. I came back, and for another 2.5 years, I actually became a part of the learning development part of Mindtree. What happened during that those 2.5 years was I, for the first time, met such people who were completely in the space of education uh, or people development, and uh, and it was amazing to see interact with such genuine, such wonderful people who were driven by the values of making meaningful difference in the lives of people. Uh, Also, I started getting trained as a teacher. That is when I also met Indutai. I met Ravindra Sharma ji. I met Narayanacharya. I visited Sri Aurobindo Ashram in Pondicherry, and through all those interactions, uh, it became more and more clear that it has to be Gurukula Siksha. and the direction for me and my family then was set. 2013, I quit IT, became a teacher in a school, and increasingly, as I started visiting many setups in the country, I would have, I think, visited more than 26 education setups during the between 2011 and 2016. Uh, some of them were Krishnamurti ji schools, some of them were Sri Aurobindo schools, some of them were Gurukulas, some of them were Gandhi ji schools. I went to Kausani in beyond Almora and Nainital. I went to Sevagram in near Nagpur. Um, I went to Pondicherry. I went to many Krishnamurti ji schools. I went to many Gurukulas in Karnataka, in Karnavati, Ahmedabad. So one thing which became very clear was very. First of all, I got to learn a lot from all these efforts, and what I saw was that there was many alternate efforts going on in the space of education, but I didn't see a solution which is for crores and crores of our children in Bharat. A day Gurukulam, and also one which is completely soaked in the culture of Bharat. When I say culture of Bharat means where children don't shy touching the feet of their parents and seeking blessings, where we are very happy to acknowledge that Deepavali is a festival of Ram or Mahishasur Mardini, and it is not just the festival of lights. Where we are not hesitant in accepting the fact that Holi is a festival of colors for sure, but it is also at the core of it. It is Narasimha Dev, Holika, and Prahlada at the core of it. So in the name of you know. I think secular practices, we have started leaving our own course apart. We should feel proud of our history, our itihasa, and that is, and we should be very happy in celebrating festivals the way they are meant to be, where we it's not just about uh, the externalities, but also about the integral part, the deity, or the puja, or the yagyas, or the celebrations, the rangolis, the food, the music, the bhajans, everything put together is our culture. And that is what we felt, that Sanatan Dharma cannot be devoid of its experiences for the next generation, because even if we have figured it out as adults, our path of meditation or some sort of practices, but the next generation, it has to be lively. Our culture has to be
Mm.
experienced in its actual practices, and that is how a culture is transmitted from one generation to another. So, with all these thought processes, and with all these visits, trainings, interactions, from 2011 till 2016, we did Adhyayana and started reading different sankalpanas of Bharatiya Drishti, like what is Panchakosh, what is Samagra Vikas, what is Purushartha, what is Gunas, what are the what is Samaj Vyavastha, Arth Vyavastha, Rajya Vyavastha, Shiksha Vyavastha. So all these systemic understandings, based on our interactions and visits, they started integrating, and that is what propelled us to start Vidyakshetra in year 2016. After good 5.5, 6 years uh, of these research and adhyayana. Ji Rekha ji.
Okay, this is fascinating to know because, in many ways, my own journey has also been inspired by the things you say, the disconnect that children today have with the Hindu culture. That is something
Yes.
that we worry about a lot because it's not just the fact that they're losing out on ancestral heritage. It is they're losing out on things that actually are so beneficial for their own growth. And I'd like you to touch upon that because for modern parents today, in this race for earning a living, which is important, um, there seems to be no way other than stepping into the mainstream schooling. And many parents are probably in a situation where they are not able to understand the value of Gurukula training. So, if you can just talk about what the basic difference would be between the modern schooling and the Gurukula system, and also how it helps to develop the mental and emotional uh, growth of a child, that would be great.
Sure. This is going to be a little long answer. It's a very deep question that you have asked, Rekhaji. See, I would start from the point that it's a lack of awareness. I won't say lack of intent.
Mhm,
Unfortunately, over last 60, 70 years, the type of education and the direction whole country has taken, this is British education. It's Western
mhm,
education, and the whole focus is mostly on the result. We want to have a finished product at the end of the education. There is hardly any emphasis on the process. There is hardly any
mhm,
emphasis on how the learning process is going on. What are we learning? How deep is the learning? What are my experiences? What are my realizations? So that in Bharatiya Drishti, Anubhuti is very, very fundamental. And we are not focusing on giving children those type of experiences which are driven by Bharatiya Drishti. And uh, and it is, as I told you, it's more attributed to lack of awareness than lack of intent, because I still strongly feel Bharat, people in their heart, they carry those samskaras. For 14 generations from father's side and 5 generations from mother's side, the samskaras are in us, and hence we cannot lose them so easily, even if it is 100, 200 years. We have stayed disconnected from them. So in our being, those samskaras are there. And hence, the moment we become aware of these possibilities, we connect very quickly with these aspects. Now, coming to your question, that what is the difference, and how to make parents aware of these differences. See, when you learn through a certain process, it is very natural that the end product also will be similar. Yeah, and hence, when we take children through an education which is highly driven only by the maths and the sciences of the world, which is intellect centered. Now, nothing wrong about maths and sciences. India has been exemplary historically also in these subjects, and Vidyakshetra also have deep investment in students learning these subjects. But everybody doing only maths and science, and for every child, they spend bulk of their life, almost 17, 18 years, studying only few subjects like maths and sciences and English as a language. So it's a very costly investment of good 18, 20 years of students in only these three subjects. And if they don't do well, we typecast them as failures in this society, which is so unfortunate. uh, all the children have different abilities. We should understand there are children who are intellect driven and who are very good in subjects like maths and Sanskrit, grammar, or sciences, and we should encourage these children in those directions. But there are equal or even more number of students who are actually driven by their the kriya shakti, the propensity to work very hard with their hands. And these are the
mhm,
children whom we should encourage to go in this direction and make their career, whether as an architect, whether as a farmer, or a weaver, or a potter. Um, and uh, and nowhere we are talking about it, as if the society doesn't need these professions. How will we
mhm,
eat food if we don't have good farmers, or coming up in next generations? And you believe me or not, not even a single school in the country is dedicated to making children a farmer. I'm saying about a formal school. Why not?
right.
Yeah, so why the
Mhm,
education has just been reduced to studying only maths and science and English in the classroom? You make a child sit whole day, and then
mhm,
you make them just pass or fail exams. how
right.
how What can be a bigger disservice to our next generation than this? The third dimension is children learn with their feeling realm, and which is the ichha shakti, or the upasana, what we talk about in our Vedas, the karma kandas, the upasana, and the jnana kandas. The same way, students also learn in three different manners as a score, with the other two dimensions supporting. So if a child is driven by by Ichha Shakti, these are the children who will perform very well in music, in dance, in painting, in theater, and music is infinite. You know, you can be playing flute, you can be singing vocal, Carnatic or Hindustani classical. You can actually learn tabla, you can learn mridanga, you can learn sitar, violin. It's infinite possibilities for students. And see the plight of our children. We have reduced all of them to just, studying three subjects for 20 good years of their initial upbringing. Oh, it is no less than criminal, I feel. We have to give them a holistic exposure of life, propel them in the direction where they are able to choose um, uh, what they are closely aligning with. And all these, please believe me, should be actually surrounding or should be around the core of the child, which is Bharatiya Drishti. Now, why it is important to develop Bharatiya Drishti? Because that is what helps us walk the path of Dharma. That is what helps us to make our viveka so strong that against all adversities we are able to decide what is correct and not convenient. This viveka, this Vijnanamaya kosha, is the one which helps us take difficult decisions, even if it is physically demanding, it is tapasya, it is not convenient. Still, students should be made to take, they should feel enabled. They should, over the journey of their education, they should have reached a point where they're ready to walk this path of tapasya. That was Bharat. And that is where, our education should actually focus. That we help these children build their Vijnanamaya Kosha where Dharma resides, so that they are able to not only guide themselves, they are able to guide their family, they are able to guide the society and the whole Rashtra and the world at large. This is what Bharat was historically, and that's why people looked for all the solutions towards us. Unfortunately, we have dropped one level down in our consciousness at an individual level and also at a collective level. Today, Bharat and its citizens, influenced by the West, are operating more out of the Manomaya Kosha, which is where our anarthas or self-centeredness reside. The kama, krodha, moh, mad, matsarya, lobha, these six anarthas reside in the manomaya kosha. And if we operate out of mana, then it is self-centeredness, because man tells us, I want to do this, what I like to do. I want to do this, what I want to eat, what I like to eat. I want to behave the way I like to. No, we should behave the way it is appropriate to. We should eat what is healthy, what is meant to be eaten. We should live the way which is harmonious uh, with our family, with our health, with society, and with the environment. This is Vivek. This is Vijnana, Vijnanamaya Kosha. So this is what Vidyakshetra is trying to do, to create an education system which is helping students build this type of an intelligence, build this type of a viveka, and bring back the child to operate his or her life out of Vijnanamaya Kosha and not out of Manomaya Kosha. A long answer, Rekhaji, but I felt that there is a need for it. Your question was very nice. Yeah.
Thank you, Munitji. Uh, for modern parents listening, see, today we put them through this education, and at the end of 18 years, we want children to have a well rounded personality. We want children to be aware of environmental concerns, to be in harmony with nature. Now, the system of education that we have, the Macaulay education, does not focus on any of these areas currently. And but our expectation for children is different, and it is just training children for the artha component of the purusharthas. Um, so clearly, there are many missing gaps. And Vidyakshetra, I find you have focused on the Panchakosha layers of human development. And for parents to understand this, can you just briefly explain what this Panchakosha model is and why that becomes the basis for a well rounded human personality, the Dharma Drishti, and also a basis for human development in general?
Sure. Again, a very nice question. I think we should request you to make many questions like this in future also, because it is going to bring a lot of more information through our experiences. And I'm very happy to share all these with the audience, so that parents benefit, well-meaning parents who really want to move in this direction. See, what has happened is we have taken as a society, as a country, we have made certain choices over last 70, 80, 100 years. Um, Prior to that, we were forced, but then even after independence, we could have taken the path where we were driven more by Bharatiya Drishti, as against the Paschatya Drishti, the Western lens. It's still not late. I believe that we there is no other choice, but we should have this as our drishti to lead the whole country also in this direction. Um, I think parents have to have a fundamental answer first in their hand, Rekhaji, and that fundamental answer that they should question they should ask themselves is, am I ready to lead my life on the principles of Sanatan Dharma? I think we are today we are in a very confused state as a society, where because we are performing, or we are earning our livelihood through a very Western lens centered economic systems or social systems, but in our heart we understand that we are Sanatan Dharma followers, we are Hindus, and we want to follow our practices. So this stretch, this these are these are two in opposite directions, and that is sort of stretching our us, and also our demands on our children and family, and children can see through this dichotomy, where they are able to see that we are saying something and we are doing something else, and hence we are struggling with our next generation to follow these principles of Sanatan Dharma, because they see that there is hypocrisy in it. One, they are not able to see it lively in front of them. For them, there is hardly any difference between a Western way of living and a Bharatiya way of living. There is hardly any difference. They don't see parents practicing the siddhanta of karma or purusharthas, or our Sanatan Dharma principles in their day-to-day life. Only festivals, maybe occasionally, we would see things becoming very lively. That also is becoming highly commercialized, with all these online and purchases and social media coming in. It's more like a tick mark more often than not, and highly commercialized, rather than more absorption, family aspects coming in, relationships coming in, songs and bhajans coming in, different types of food, traditional foods coming in. So all these aspects, are becoming increasingly outsourced. What can be more outsourced? I heard that for a very very sacred festival like Karwa Chauth in North, now people actually go out to restaurants to break their fast. Which was such a sacred thing, meant at home, in a very sacred personal space, husband and wife, eating together after looking at the moon. So I'm just trying to give an example that how things are getting commercialized by this whole fast pace of eating, buying, this 10 minutes delivery. So the whole direction as a society we have taken is this. At the same time, there are set of parents who want to not take that direction, and they're ready to walk the path of tapasya, because walking the path of dharma is always going to be tough, but it is going to be deeply satisfying, and it's a long term benefit, short term difficulty. The path of commercialization, path of materialism, is a short term benefit but a long term problem. Now, Bharatiya Manas, was where we were ready to take the difficult journey, because we understood that the Purusharthas are the way of life, and moksha is what is desirable at the end of our life. Yeah, so now this whole understanding is not getting reflected in our day to day life, and children are able to see that gap. Yeah. Now, coming to your question, that what is Panchakosha, and how do we know what it help how it helps for a student to or a child to become better? I feel that it is for everybody. It's not just for a child. It is for adults. It is for teachers. It is for parents. Everybody. This is a journey, because education is driven by two principles. One is it is lifelong, and second is it is everywhere. So it is ajivan and it is sarvatra. That is the two principles of an education. Yeah. So whether you are an acharya, whether you are a mother or a father or a child, everybody should continuously engage on improving ourselves, and that is the journey of Panchakosha Vikas. All of us, we have five layers. uh, some people call it Panchatma, some people call it Panchakosha, where we have Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya Kosh. When we are able to work on all these five layers and develop these five layers, we say that Samagra Vikas has happened. Samagra Vikas also has some more points apart from uh, Panchakoshas. It also has the element of improving our interaction with Samashti, which is Samaja, improving our interactions with Srishti, which is environment or Prakriti, improving our interactions with Parameshti, which is our relationship with Paramatma, with Bhagwan, and the Panchakosha Vikas is improving of Vyashti. So Daishik Shastra brings these four elements of Vyashti, Samashti, Srishti, and Parameshti, and developing all these four dimensions is what is Samagra Vikas. Uh, Working on Panchakoshas is developing these five layers, which is a part of Vyashtigat Vikas. Now, Annamaya is what our body is all about. Yeah, our body, our organs, um, our health, basically. So if we focus on developing our body in a nice way, we call it Annamaya Kosha, and focusing whether it's sleep, whether it is play, whether it is food, whether it is our lifestyle, whatever changes are needed to be done, we should do that so that we are able to have a good, healthy body. Our organs, the functionality of our systems of our body, especially people who understand, we're talking about the five types of vayus as per Ayurveda. But for people who don't understand the language of vayu, we are talking about our systemic functionality of the body, where the organs are functioning in conjunction with each other. That is the pranamaya kosha, the prana shakti, which runs this body. Now, the pancha pranas, what we talk about, when we somebody dies, we say that the prana has left the body. That is when the body stops functioning. So the pranamaya kosha is to have a healthy functionality of the body, where we are able to have our respiratory system, our circulatory system, nervous system, excretory system, all the types of systems functioning in a very healthy, proper way. Now, whatever is needed to be done for that, we should do that. Whether it is good rhythms to be followed in our day-to-day life, whether it is the four types of Saiyamas that we should practice: the Swad Sayyam, the Artha Sayyam, the Vani Sayyam, the Samay Sayyam. Whether it is pranayama that we do, the yoga asanas, or the Ashtanga yoga that we do, whatever is the process, we should follow that, the prescribed process. That is what helps us improve our pranamaya kosha. Please understand, today the biggest challenge parents face is adolescence and teenage interactions with children. The work with teenagers, if we really want them to be anchored, their teenage to be focused on learning and smooth, the work has to happen actually on the pranamaya kosha and the rhythms. If that doesn't happen, then it is very tough at the age of 12 to 16 to manage adolescence for the students or the children. Now if there is good work that has happened in Sayyama, good work that has happened in building good learning habits, whether it is through music, through dance, through kalas, through diligently studying the subjects, the academic subjects of maths and science and Sanskrit or English and Hindi and itihasa, Purana. So all these things go together, and regularity and a good rhythm in learning helps children build certain good habits of learning. Now, this all work happens to build the pranamaya kosha, and also to support the manomaya kosha, which is the third kosha. Because once the man becomes sakriya, that is at the age of 12, it is very difficult if the good habits have not been worked on in the preceding age, which is the balavastha from 6 to 12 years age. Uh, the Manomaya Kosha is actually the crux of the whole existence of human beings. It is our mana that is keeping us sort of connected to this whole existence of Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jathare, what Shankaracharya told. And um, and if we are able to understand how mana functions, if we are able to understand how viveka needs to be developed or vijnana my kosha needs to be used to actually overcome mana, I think we have done what we were supposed to do in this human form of life. And that is the role of parents, that is the role of teachers, and that is the role of the society to help the student grow in their conscious space, which is vijnanamaya kosha. And through a developed vijnanamaya kosha, we are able to help the child connect with their Anandamaya Kosha, which is nothing but the area of their Anubhuti, their bliss, their relationship with Paramatma, their relationship with Bhagwan. What is that they want to, so their Adhyatmic existence, their Chitta Shuddhi. And that is very, very crucial. And that is what the Panchakosha Vikas is all about. That is how we are trying to the whole curriculum, the methodology, engagement with parents on kutumba siksha, all these dimensions are there in Vidyakshetra in order to help the student develop all these five koshas. Yes, Rekha.
You mentioned something called Saiyamas. Could you
Yes.
just elaborate a little bit on that? Most of our listeners wouldn't have heard something like that before.
Sure. So there are four Saiyamas that a human being should practice, and that is and these Saiyamas are Swad Sayyam, Vani Sayyam, Artha Sayyam, and Samay Sayyam. Uh, when you are young, you are a child, you actually do it based on the rhythm of the house or the rhythm of the Gurukula, where your parents and your teachers help you build these Saiyamas. If you are an adult, you have to use your own intelligence to build these Saiyamas in yourself. Without these Saiyamas, it is very difficult to grow or have Panchakosha Vikas. Now, what do we mean by these Saiyamas? So when we talk about Swad Sayyam, it means what type of food are we eating? When are we eating? How are we eating? Who is cooking that food? What all things have gone inside it? Is it fresh? Is
Mhm.
it not? So today, if you see, we are flouting this left, right, and center.
Yes.
There are practically some houses which are ordering every day from outside and eating regularly food which is made in restaurants and hotels. Now we don't even know what has gone inside it. What is the ingredients? Actually, on the contrary, I would say we know very well what has gone inside it. No hotel is going to use best of the ingredients. Most of them they use refined oils. They use palmolin oil. They use unhealthy ingredients which we know will harm our health, artificial colors, chemical or inorganic ingredients. So this is what we mean by swad sayyam, how to control our tongue. Yeah, and that sayyama and niyantrana are the two ways human beings function. Bharatiya drishti is about sayyama. whereas controlling from outside is niyantran. So we teach our next generation, also we ourselves practice Sayyama. So what is self control or coming from our own inside? Now,
Mhm.
Swat Sayyam is this. What is Samay Sayyam? Samay Sayyam means we know that we should not waste our time. Life is very precious. We should spend it in a very wise way, value driven. How can we spend hours together on reels or video games or mobile phones or just meaningless engagements? Yeah, watching meaningless movies. I'm not saying don't watch movies, but there are some good movies. Watch that as a family culture. It's fine. There is theater. You watch a good theater. But what is the point of wasting time, which is human life, which we have got after so much of tapasya, after so many different births that we have taken in animal form, in fish, in birds, as trees, as plants, and insects, and then we have landed in this human form of life, and we waste it. So how to develop this type of a sayyama, which is samay sayyam, that we utilize our life in the service of Bhagwan, in the seva of Sanatan Dharma, and that's the best thing we can do. Now this is the broader picture of Samay Sayyam. At a How do you develop it in children? You develop it in with punctuality. You develop it with a good rhythm of learning. You develop it with practicing music every day. If you are learning music, if you are learning Bharatnatyam, you should practice Bharatnatyam. Waking up in Brahma Muhurata, sleeping timely around 9:30 at the latest, eating your food on time, and this is where mother and father plays a very important role in the life of a student. If there is good rhythm in the home, where children are eating proper food on proper time, sleeping proper time, waking up at proper time, utilizing weekends, not the way today people are using, but going to temple, giving seva, building that type of a culture and lifestyle, doing your sandhya on time. So this is all these things put together becomes the Samay Sayyam piece. How many families today evening Sandhya Kala they sit together and they read Ramayana, or they do bhajans? There is hardly any common time in families only. So how would children learn Samay Sayyam? It's very difficult. The third type of Sayyam is Arth Sayyam. So Artha Sanyam is basically about money, also about resources. It is also about judicious utilization of resources. It is about not spending unnecessarily. It is about using resources only for whatever is necessary and not whatever is desired. So there is always a debate of greed and need. So this is about Artha Sayyam. Today, even before a child needs anything, we hand over some things to the children. If their pencil is still there, we would get them a new pencil set. Even if they have 50 different pairs of clothes in the almirah, we will get them the 51st one also. So these are some very important decisions we need to take. It might look that oh, my child is getting deprived. No, it is not like that. Please don't deprive your child of good clothes. Instead of buying 10 cheap or impulsive buying, plan and get them good 2 or 3 pairs in a whole year, and there you can spend even more, and get them from somebody whom who is made that cloth for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, build that type of a relationship with the weavers, with the potters, with the society. So this is broadly how we talk about the Artha Sanyama part. So we spoke about Samay Sanyam, we spoke about Swat Sanyam, and we spoke about Artha Sanyam. Now let us also talk about the Vani Sanyam. So Vani Sanyam is what to speak, when to speak, how much to speak, what not to speak. Yeah. So if we engage our vani in that type of when we learn Sanskrit, that's the most effective way of engaging our tongue, our vani. Yeah. So so when we are chanting shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Vedas, Upanishads, when we are singing bhajans, when we are learning Shastriya Sangeet, when we are. So, this is how you train your tongue and Vani to always spiritualize, whatever you are trying to speak, studying Shastras. Uh, so, this is. It comes with lot of training and engagement with children, and it is built over years, and that is what we mean by Vani Sanyam, Rekhaji. So this is broadly, I would say, in summary of what these four Saiyamas are. Yeah. If we have worked with students on all these four, they develop very good habits. And then when mana, which is called the king of all the indriyas, when man becomes powerful, if these good habits have been formed between 6 to 12 years, then man ka nature ही है that it will take you away from something which is good, yeah, something which is right. So when man becomes powerful, even Arjuna tells in Bhagavad Gita that, "Oh Krishna, my it's so difficult for me to control my mind. For a moment I can still control the wind, but mind is so naughty. It's so chanchal that I am not able to control the mind. So what to talk of our children? In such little hands we have given mobile phones, we have given them money, we have given them access to buy anything and everything what they want, and so it's very difficult for children today to control their mind. And but if they have built these Saiyamas, it helps them during those difficult teenage years, when the man becomes powerful, when the man drives us to saying that it's my way or highway, oh father or mother,
Mhm.
you don't understand me, what is my requirements, I am independent, I have my own choices. This I is not, it's their mana, yeah, which is actually propelling them to go in that direction. But if their rhythms are good from the previous few years of work on their Sayamas, it helps them sail over these difficult years. Rekhaji. Yes.
Yeah, you're bringing up some absolutely important points and some key differences that I think modern parents need to understand. First, our emphasis is on self regulation as opposed to, like you said, putting
Indulgence.
ourselves first, indulgence. That's perfect. Self regulation. So, how do you teach that? And I talk outside about training the mind of students and touching their hearts because both are so important. They go hand in hand today. And
Yes.
we focus on training the mind a lot in the current education, but we are absolutely neglecting their emotional side and touching the heart. And obviously, self regulation, which is an intrinsic part of our culture, is completely lost. So it is fascinating how you have laid out the whole landscape of a Gurukula education, which focuses on the things that actually help develop a very fulfilling, rich life for the child and adult, and also help them achieve happiness and fulfillment along with success. We have just focused on the success part in
Yes.
mainstream schools. So, thank you for that clarity, Munitji. Um, I'd like to ask on behalf of parents listening. Most parents don't have access to a Gurukula today. We have very few schools, and something like Vidyakshetra, obviously, we need many, many more schools like that coming up. But as of now, parents have no option but to send their children to mainstream schooling. And so how can they do something realistically speaking at home? Is there anything that you recommend for parents whose children are in regular schools to do either after school or before school? How can they incorporate this wisdom in their daily lives?
Yeah, that's a very important point that you have brought, Rekhaji, through this question. See, again, I would give a little prelude to my answer. One is that it's very important for parents to start practicing these things that we want our children to have in them. If as a parent I am not having Swat Sayyam, if as a parent I don't have Samay Sayyam, if as a parent I don't have Vani Sayyam or Artha Sayyam, how can I expect my child to have these elements? So it's very important, as I told, that Panchakosha Vikas is related to not just children, but to everybody, whether you are a teacher or a parent. So we have to focus on our Panchakoshatmika Vikas also. Now, once that is kept aside and we are completely focused, we are dedicated in this journey of tapasya, of walking the path of dharma, and then we feel that we want same for our children. Then I have layered solutions. Now, for somebody who is really ready to
Mhm.
uh, to give this type of education to their children or upbringing, children learn in three spaces. They learn from Parivar Parampara, they learn from Gyan Parampara in Gurukula or education area, and they learn from Samaj Parampara, which is Samajik Paramparas are like the festivals and the events and the culture of the whole society. Parivar Parampara is whether you are coming in certain type of practices what you have done in your ancestors have done, whether it is Vaishnav Sampradaya, Shiv Sampradaya, Shakta Sampradaya, Bodh, Jain, whatever is your practices which are Sanatan Dharma practices. And similarly Gyan Parampara, where you're learning knowledge which is related to what you are meant to do in your life. Now, people understand that Gurukulas only were, Vedic Gurukulas. That is not true. There were lakhs
Mhm.
and lakhs of institutions in Bharat. Dharampalji writes in The Beautiful Tree that there were more than 5 lakh educational institutions in 1805, and most of them were day Gurukulams. There were Sangeet Gurukulas, there were Jati Gurukulams, there were Ayurveda Gurukulas, there were work of hand, whether you are a carpenter or a weaver or a potter. Then there were patashalas, there were agraharas, where students would go learn in the morning and then come back during lunchtime to their home and again go in the afternoon and come back in the evening. But there were also residential gurukulas where students dedicated bulk of their time in learning, wherever they were. For a residential gurukula, the subject was being taught. So we should understand that there were many, many Gurukulas in Bharat, and that was the beauty of the country, where each of these effort was swayat. Swayat means if somebody who is knowledgeable, who wants to create a setup of learning, was free to do that, and people and samaja would filter which one is good and which one is not, and people would send their children to the ones they wanted to after a careful assessment. Now, if parents understand these constructs, they would understand that it's very, very important. It's actually the core work of parents to ensure that their children learn in a nice way. Today, unfortunately, due to the fast pace of life and lack of focus and time on hands of people, we have started treating education like an outsourcing activity. We just send our children to the school and our work is done. Yeah, that is not how it is meant to be. On the contrary, we should take complete ownership of the education of the children, in the sense that Mata Prathamo Guru, mother is the first Acharya for the child, Pita Dvitiya, father is the second, and third is the Acharya of the Gurukula. I understand that there are very less number of Gurukulas like Vidyakshetra. Unfortunately, our vision is to replicate it in many places. Currently, I am in Delhi. I am not in Bangalore, and yesterday only I gave a talk here in Gurgaon, and more than 50 people attended that workshop for more than 2.5 hours. And many people are keen to walk through this journey of learning with Vidyakshetra. So we have a 3+2 model of learning for 5 years, where whoever wants to become an acharya or whoever wants to start a gurukula, or if somebody wants to become a research scholar in Indology or Bharatiya Drishti, or somebody wants to take writing books, or an author, become an author, then we have programs of learning called Acharya Vidyalaya, where people are today, more than 50 people are already getting trained at Vidyakshetra. Now, this is in an offline and online model. Along with this, so whoever wants to bring this type of a knowledge to their children, we would encourage them to join this course and learn what it means to teach children as per Bharatiya Drishti. Now, this investment is very, very important. We also understand that starting a Gurukula is not so easy, Rekhaji. It requires, a deeper understanding. But we also are in the process of starting a concept called matrakulams, where if 5 or 6 mothers who are like-minded, who have age group children of similar age, and who are connected with Vidyakshetras, this learning process, intense learning process of Acharya Vidyalaya, they can start an Acharya Kulam and start sort of like a homeschooling with Bharatiya Drishti, their own children. Yeah. And so the first solution is finding a Gurukula. The second solution is starting an Acharya Kula if you have not got a Gurukula for your child. And Acharya Kulam, you have no other, plus and minus, in the sense there is no worry that you need to have for 1 year. What will happen next year? How will we find a new teacher? Or how would we, finances? Because six, seven mothers, parents have come together, and they have put together the whole learning process. We will guide with the curriculum, we will guide with the material, we will guide with the training for the students. And today also our society has many possibilities, like Shastriya Sangeet classes are happening in many places, Sanskrit classes are happening in many places. Agriculture one can do at home, in 10 pots, one can grow methi, coriander, chilies, tomatoes, tulasi, like that, spinach at home. So we have this whole plan of learning with the society, and curriculum support by Vidyakshetra at home. Of one of the parents, you can teach your own children, and this is with Bharatiya Drishti. So that is second option. But if and we have children in Vidyakshetra today who have gone through a whole Gurukulam Shiksha. There are 20-year-old children who are getting online degrees and learning with the experts, subject matter experts. There are students who are learning with Sanskrit scholars. So my only point is that we should start looking at a much larger picture of beyond this regular schooling of grade 10, grade 12, and college, and then job, and that type of a path. There are many more possibilities today where children can become musicians, they can become dancers, they can become Sanskrit scholars, they can become potters, they can become weavers, farmers, teachers, they can become engineers, they can become research scholars, whatever path they are good at. And that is the path that Vidyakshetra has made with subject matter experts across the country. And at some point of time, we would be happy to extend this whole model to parents who are going through the Matrakulam method and taking this difficult path. I'm not saying it will be easy, but it will be right path to take for our children. And maybe in a city where, imagine if there are 5 6 such Matrakulam happening for 11 12-year-old children, then these Matrakulams can come together and then make a Gurukula after a few years, because they would have spent good amount of time teaching children, they would have some idea of how to do it. So this is one possibility. Now, even if this possibility is not there, then the third possibility is to send your children to regular schools. There also, I would request parents to practice that, please send your children to schools which are openly saying that we are following Bharatiya practices. There are schools, and I won't name necessarily, but there are schools like that which might be still CBSE or state board, but they are still practicing Bharatiyata as an organization, as an institution. So it's better to at least admit your children in those type of schools, where they won't be subtly fed different types of concepts which are anti Sanatan Dharma concepts, or the pseudo secularism that we are facing today in Bharat. So these at least it will be a better choice institutions. And along with that, maybe parents should have strong home practices of reading Ramayana, of doing their Sandhya Vandanam, of going on weekends for sure to temples, whichever temples they are connected to, giving sevas. So like that, I feel that we should have a culture which will sort of support, or help the child still stay anchored in our practices, even when the child is going through a school or an education which is not so aligned with what we want them to do. Please understand that most of the curriculum and schools today are actually completely based, the model is completely based on the British education that we started following 70, 80 years ago. And even more difficult will be, if we don't send our children to the Bharatiya Drishti, or at least the institutions or the schools which are connected in some way or another to Bharatiya or Sanatan Dharma principles. So these are different layered solutions I can give, Rekhaji. Yeah.
Thank you, Munitji. That really helps, and it's a great advice for parents today. So there are a few points that I've noted from the last uh, question that you had answered. Yes,
I've
please.
already answered in many answers today what parents can do.
Yes,
My only
yes.
request to parents is that, please give it priority. The way the whole world is going, the way the technology is uh, landscape is changing, the way the whole the landscape of demography or different practices across the world is changing. I think it is not an easy time ahead, and it's very important that we work with our children for them to become very resilient. They should be highly creative. They should be problem solvers and solution finders. And I think investment has to go in that direction, where students are very confident with their hands, with their heart, and with their head in their learning and knowledge. Also, please have strong practices at home so that children are anchored in Bharat. It's very important to stay loyal to the country. It's very important to stay here and serve the country. It is also important to build that drishti, which is Bharatiya. See, what is happening is, as I told in the beginning of this call, with the confusion of what is right and what is wrong, what is dharmic and what is not. We have actually come to a situation where this confusion almost convinces us that whatever we are doing is dharmic, and don't even question our choices of jobs, our choices of lifestyle, our choice of relationships that we are building with our children and our family. I think it's important that we really focus on adhyayana and learn and invest in understanding the richness of Bharatiya culture. Please believe me, if we don't give that to our children, they will be sucked up and drawn into the modern, this whole shallow race of materialism, spending our life very superficially, and then struggling to build relationships with our own family members, relatives, having meaningful, value-driven life. And I'm sure we don't want to gift this type of a future to our own children. So Bharatiya Drishti is very deep. Bharatiya culture is very deep. It is meaningful, and it connects, one thing to another. So my request to all the parents who want to practice Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism is to actively understand and bring it into your practice. As I told you, in Vidyakshetra, we have already started an Acharya Vidyalaya program for parents to become part of and learn. If you are not able to commit in an online and offline model and not able to give a lot of time, at least you can join, once a week, our Swa Vikas program, which happens on Saturdays. You should deeply engage with Rekha ji and Hindu parenting sessions that she conducts, so that we are able to learn and build that into our practices in home. That is very, very important. And only if you are practicing sincerely, and you are convinced and you are able to build that changes in your own way of life and in your home, children will be inspired to follow it in future. It is not after you have made those changes you should think of doing it for the children. It is also a journey from which children learn. So if you are trying to improve, it's okay. Students will learn from that. If you are trying to build some practices of Sandhya back in your home, great. Start with Tri Sandhya. If you are starting to, cook more at home, great. So start from where you are, what you have. Don't worry about it looks very long journey, it looks very big. Everything will happen gradually, small step at a time is what is important. So please start this journey, and let the children see that you are practicing what you really want them to practice also, and you want to build this type of a culture in your home. So I wish you all very good luck, and I would also thank again Rekha ji for inviting me for this interaction, and I would be very happy to have more such interactions and go more deeper in these subject matters in future. Thank you, Rekha ji.
Most of us today may have no option but to send children to mainstream schools. But let's remember that we can still turn our homes into a Gurukula. Dhanyavad Muneet for your valuable time, for sharing these insights and helping us reimagine what Bharatiya parenting can look like. And to everyone listening, if this resonated with you, share it with another parent who is trying to raise a successful, happy, and grounded human being. To sum up today's podcast, let's remember to focus on the holistic development of our children by looking within into millennia of Bharatiya Gurukula wisdom. Do not outsource education, but stay closely involved. Let's start respecting the ability to work with our hands. Visit Vidyakshetra and make use of the layered solutions suggested by Muneet ji today. We have a website, hinduparenting.org, with resources and information about unique summer classes for children, classes which you won't find anywhere else. This time, we have a workshop in Bengaluru based on Niti Shastra and Alankara Shastra for kids. We also have a summer course on learning Ishavasya Upanishad. Get in touch with us on social media or through our newsletter if you wish to be part of our community for Hindu parents. Follow us on X and Instagram. Subscribe to our free weekly newsletter at hinduparenting.substack.com. Until next time, Namaste.